Hello YouTube, this is Stefan, aka Dutch Bushcraft. I want to talk a bit about fire making. And this in combination with the knife. Okay, we all know the flint, of course. Not many people use the flint, but you can, especially with a nice striker. It makes a nice set. You can also have the fire piston. And both the flint and the fire piston, they work well with char cloth. You can make it in the field, but most people have it already made at home in a small tin and take it with them. Of course, you can have a lighter. This is an old gasoline lighter, storm lighter. So you can fill it up with almost every fluid that will burn. It's like a Dutch model Zippo. It's called Imco, by the way. And then you have your modern tools like the fire steel. So when people talk about knives, you hear a lot of controversy about stainless versus the carbon steel knives. The coating, do you want a coating or do you don't want a coating? So let's talk a bit about that. When you're using a flint, it's best to have a carbon steel blade. Clean with no coating, that's true. But actually there are some coatings that will still throw a spark. Not all, but there are. If you talk about a fire piston, of course you don't even need a knife. Same counts for the lighters. And I do always carry a lighter. Okay, when it comes to fire steels, you can use a scraper that often comes with a fire steel, or you can use a knife. And when you want to use a knife, it's nice if the knife has a 90-degree angle, but it doesn't have to be the entire length of the blade, of course. If you take, for instance, my old and trusty Hultafors groofknief, I changed the first part and made it into a 90-degree spine, which is rather sharp, and I actually rounded the back part a bit for when I do some push cuts, because the 90-degree spine will dig inside your thumb, and it can even hurt you after long-term use. So one part smooth, one part 90-degree. In the beginning everybody said, well, you need a carbon steel knife to strike a spark with a fire steel. And then we came to the conclusion that you really don't need a carbon steel knife. You can use a stainless steel knife as well. And it depends on the coating if it will spark or not, but there are some knives that are coated and they will still throw good sparks. So basically what I have in my pocket when I'm outdoors is this set. You can maybe call this my last option kit. So it's a Swiss Army knife model Pioneer. It's a piece of fat wood. It is a striker that has paint on it, and only the part I use for actual striking I take away the paint. And this is carbon steel, so this will probably also strike a spark with your flint. So you don't need an extra striker. There's a tick remover, a very good one by the way. There's an emergency whistle, and I have a spare fire steel. So this is attached to my belt and inside my pocket, so I won't lose it. And actually with this Pioneer I can use even the inside of the can opener to throw sparks from the fire steel. Also the inside, sorry, this was a bottle opener. Also the inside of the can opener, and I can use the awl. And still I will be saving my edge of my blade. So when I go outside into the bush, I normally carry more than one knife. And I do agree, if maybe Discovery invites you to do a show and you can only carry one knife and nothing else, then it might be wise for this one trip to have a carbon steel knife with a 90-degree spine. So you can actually use everything that you find to make a fire. Also flint. But most people are not dropped into the woods by Discovery or any other channel. Most people have several knives with them. So for me this is my last resort. So I have my pocket knife. Basically I will need a bushcraft knife and maybe a heavy chopper or an axe. So that's 3 knives already. So if my bushcraft knife, which I'm going to use a lot for maybe making traps, making pot stands, and it means a lot of push cuts, I don't really mind if the back of the knife, the spine, is not too sharp, because it will ruin my thumb. I have to wear gloves in the end. So ever try your knife in continuous use for a day or so, doing push cuts, and you will know what I mean. Then you will be happy that it's a bit smooth on the back. And if I need a chopper and I don't want to take care of it a lot, I think that stainless steel is a very good option. Because also, if this is all rusty, it won't throw a spark. So you have to keep it clean, you have to keep it oiled sometimes. Well, nobody is oiling the knife after every use, at least I'm not. So you will get a patina on it probably, and some stains, but that's all okay, of course, that's what the knife is for. But still, if you have to oil it, you have to bring some oil. And if you have a stainless knife, you have nothing to worry about. Just keep it dry, wipe it off with a dry cloth, that can be your clothes of course, and you're done. So what I'm trying to say is that most people already bring a lot of fire making material into the woods. So the discussion about every bushcraft knife or survival knife has to be a high carbon steel with a 90-degree spine, I think that's not true. And also a lot of people seem to dislike the coatings for the reason of that it won't throw a spark from a flint. Well, I don't know how long you have been into this business or this hobby, but I have been in it for over 25 years, and I've seen people practice with the flint, sitting around the campfire, having made some char cloth, and they have the flint and the striker, or they use the back of the knife, and then they are going to practice this skill. It's the same with the bow drill. How many people depend on a bow drill? Almost nobody. We all have other stuff to light a fire. But then again, making a bow drill, practicing the skill is a very good way of well, killing some hours at the campfire. Practicing your skills is always good, of course. A fire piston. I have in my over 25-year career never seen somebody depend on a fire piston to make a fire. It's the same rule. It's fun to do around the campfire when you already have a fire. Practice it as a skill and maybe take it as a last resort. But mostly it's fancy stuff. That's about it. So the lighter, the matches of course, and the fire steel being actually a quite modern tool, are the most commonly used for starting a fire. Together with some good tinder, of course. So when it comes to striking a fire, I like to have redundance in my the things I carry. So this is my survival box that will be in my pocket somewhere, and in there is already a striker and a flint, a long narrow flint with a striker. So also some tinder, fishing equipment, the lots, you know, but part of it is also for fire making. Some cotton wool, etc. So this is basically all I need to start a fire. But also, again, this is my last resort. So I also have a small box again with some tinder. And part of this is the magnesium block with the flint. And I already have several strikers with me, so I don't need an extra striker again. There's some barbecue blocks, we use them for the barbecue. Again, a small pieces of fat wood, cotton wool, tampon. These are some paper coated in wax, actually waxed paper. Oh, and here I have another striker, and this is also carbon steel, so that's again a striker. And this box, I won't use this box now because it's all messed up, but it's the same size as this. This is some extra fishing gear I have. I usually carry in this pouch with me, and inside is also my Bushcraft Essentials bush box. So this is actually my stove. Then I put my fire making kit in there, and in the front pouch I have an additional fire steel with striker and a lighter. So this basically covers all my fire lighting needs, and even if I lose one or several of them, I still have a backup somewhere. And that's what most people do and what it's actually all about. Because the same with knives. I have seen very few people break a knife. But I have seen people, or not seen people, but know of people that lost their knives. And in my 20-year experience, over 25 years, I have lost one or two knives myself, and I'm very particular about this, so I really take good care of my knives, but still this can happen. So the loss of a knife is possible, the breaking of a knife is possible, but not so likely. But always carry a backup system. Maybe just a pocket knife, an extra fire steel, a lighter, some tinder. That's basically what I'm trying to say with this video. So don't get caught in this hype about every bushcraft knife or survival knife has to be carbon steel, non-coated with a 90-degree spine, because that's just not true. And believe me, if you use a 90-degree spine to make a lot of traps, let's say figure 4 deadfalls and some pot hooks, after a few hours your thumb gets really sore. And of course you can wear gloves, etc. But then you have to bring gloves, won't you? So this is just my 2 cents about the fire making combined with a knife. Of course this is only my opinion. Other people have different opinions, and I am happy they do have different opinions, because that's the only way to have discussion. Still, I hope you enjoyed, and take care. Bye bye.